Welcome, everyone, to the second episode of my new podcast, Pug, Fireball, and Company. My guest today is Sam Bernabe, President and General Manager of the Iowa Cubs, the AAA affiliate of the Chicago Cubs since 1981. Sam wrote the foreword for my latest book, Pug, Fireball, and Company, 116 Years of Professional Baseball in Des Moines, Iowa. Good morning, Sam. Please share with us your background, where you are from, and where you went to school.
Sure. I grew up in the Des Moines area, West Des Moines area. Went to Valley High School, graduated in 1978. Went to University of Iowa, graduated in 1982, and went to grad school at Western Illinois in 1983. It required me to do an internship. I was getting a master's in sports administration and required an internship. And the ball club hired me to come back to Des Moines in 1983, at the end of 83, and started with the team then, and I've been here ever since. I started as an intern. They hired me as a full-time salesman, and I was named the general manager of the ball club in November of 1986. And then Mr. Granquist, and that ownership changed when Mr. Granquist passed away in 99. So October of 99, my partners, Mike Gartner and Mike Giudice, brought me in as a partner with them and made me the president of the team and part owner in October of 99. And then we consequently sold the team to Diamond Baseball Holdings in December of 21. And the DBH folks asked me to stick around. So I said, as long as you keep paying me, I'll keep showing up. And that's what we do.
Oh, very good. You you filled in my next three questions, but that's okay. I'm familiar with Western Illinois University because my wife is from Carthage, Illinois. So, it's only about a half hour away from Western. So I've been to Western a few times for various things. Yeah.
I did a graduate assistantship while I was at Western at Carthage. It was a Robert Morris College, I think was the name of it.
Right. Robert Morris College. Yes, it's not there anymore. But
I was the intramural director for that 2 years.
Oh, I have to tell. Go ahead.
Yeah, for about 6 months, I was the intramural director as my graduate assistantship. So.
I'll have to tell my wife and her sisters that you have a connection to Carthage. I never knew that.
Yeah.
You learn something every day. So what are you responsible for as president and general manager of the Iowa Cubs?
Well, that's a pretty broad stroke of the paintbrush. It's pretty much everything. Time you pull into the parking lot, time you leave, just about everything you see and do and participate in here at the ballpark is a result of me and 41 years of creating and decision making, I guess. The operation is 27 full-time people deep. I'm responsible for the relationship between the Chicago Cubs and the Iowa Cubs. I'm responsible for the relationship between the city of Des Moines and the Iowa Cubs, as the city is our landlord, owning the stadium, and we operate it and run it for them. And I'm responsible for the relationship with Major League Baseball and all the things that now are required through MLB and out of the New York, the commissioner's offices in New York. And then I'm responsible for the fan base and trying to keep a consistent operation and an easy operation for the fan base to enjoy on 75 days out of the year.
And some days are longer than others, like today.
They do get long, but you get your game legs about the second week of the season, and it goes pretty good after that.
But you've had a nice 2-week break here.
Yeah, it's too long.
Haven't you?
6 games. You don't like to be within the season. You never like to be gone more than about 10 days if you can avoid it. And unfortunately, we ran into a two series road trip amongst the All-Star break, and so it piled up good. So we've been gone a long time. The last game we played here was July 7th, and so we're playing tonight, getting ready to go. And we have it's a nice 2-week homestand, so it'll be nice to be back. But it's kind of like opening day again in the middle of the summer.
How has the minor league baseball scene changed over the past 4 decades? Because you've seen it all. Or has it changed that much?
Oh, it's changed a lot. The way the Major League Baseball clubs develop players is completely different now. The size of the engine that drives it is completely different now. It's evolved. I think it's not changed; it's evolved, and certainly with our being under the guise of Major League Baseball now, the rules for ownership have changed, which has now created a monster business for us and what's known as Diamond Ball Holdings. They're the corporate owner of our team. They also have 34 other teams, which you could never do under the old system, and and they intend on buying more. Bulk buying is scary for them, and so far so good. Worked pretty well for them. The synergies of multiple ownership, multiple team ownership has begun to pay off for them. I don't know where their end game is as far as the number of teams they're going to buy. I would suspect it'll be a few more in the coming months, coming years, but it's changed the way we do business, and certainly how technology has changed it, and that's going to continue to change it. I think things like we're already weaning tickets out of the business. I think the ticket windows will go on the wayside at some point down the road. There'll be customer service windows. They won't be ticket windows anymore. I believe you'll be able to have something that just is in your pocket and walk through the gates, and we'll know you're here, and the security will all be taken care of at one time. It'll be really convenient, but it'll be uh, digital to the point where we know a lot about you, and that's really going to be that. Whether you go to the ballpark or you go to a grocery store or a shopping center or whatever it may be, all of that technology is going to happen here before long. So it's changed a lot. And again, I think change is the wrong word. I think evolve is really the word we need to use, and how the game has really shifted in a lot of different directions over my 40 years of being in the business.
What about those of us, though, who still like paper tickets?
Well, if we come into the office, we'll write you out a ticket. I think it's probably what you end up getting. I would think that probably will be something along the way. It'll almost be more collectible than anything. I would say gratuitous at best.
Right.
There's probably a market for that kind of thing. I don't know, but relative to the digital world, that will all come before long.
Explain your relationship exactly. Well, you kind of alluded to this, but to the Cubs and the city of Des Moines. A lot of people don't know, I guess, except the hardcore fan, that you have nothing to do with the players, who plays, or salaries, any of that. That's not determined by you.
Correct. I'm just in the entertainment business, Steve. To be honest with you, I'm here to facilitate 75 days of event management is really what it comes down to. It's important that we take care of the players, we deal with the players, we work with all the players, and we certainly work with the Chicago Cubs on a daily basis, if not twice a day, for a variety of reasons. But we don't have anything to do with their development. They don't ask us about a player's ability, whether or not we think he can play at the big league level or should be demoted. The Chicago Cubs and all the major league organizations for their minor league teams handle everything out of the major league offices wherever they're at. It's a giant operation. Player development for the Chicago Cubs probably encompasses the better part of 300 people, I suppose, and all the things, the coaches and the rovers and the scouts and the upper office management and decision making. We're not part of that. I'm not part of that. Occasionally, I'll get a call from somebody saying, "Hey, what do you think about what's the disposition of so and so, and is he a good community guy, and how is he that you can tell in the dugout in the locker room, and what's his demeanor?" But it doesn't. Nobody is really asking about his bat speed or his running home to second or first
Yeah.
third, or whether he can run down a fly ball. I don't do any of that. I'm just in the entertainment business.
That said, what about housing for these players? Do you have anything to do with the housing?
No, we really don't.
Players?
At this level, it really wasn't a big deal until the Players Association took on the minor league guys as part of the union, and then they negotiated some housing parameters for players that are not on the 40-man roster or don't make a certain level of income, monthly income. And at the AAA level, that doesn't really apply a whole lot to a lot of our guys. Some of it does, and so part of that decision making, as it has come about since the players union negotiated that part of their deal, the Chicago Cubs have taken on a service, and they deal with all the housing for all the players that need it throughout the 4 minor league teams and locations that their 4 affiliates are in. We help. We get people coordinated with different apartment complexes. We try to keep people downtown as best we can. We try to help negotiate some rents or lack of deposits or whatever. Guys come and go pretty frequently at the AAA level, so it's important that if we can work some courtesies to be able to help move guys in and out, then we work at that. Randy Wayhofer, my assistant general manager, coordinates all of that activity. We do deal with the manager and the coaches. We try to provide housing for them, and he deals with all of that. But overall, the Cubs take care of all the housing for all the players.
Is it hard for them to find housing, though? Because, like you say, some of them are maybe here the whole season, but a lot of them are up and down to Chicago or get traded or released. And a lot of these apartment places probably want a 6-month or a 12-month lease.
Right. And so we try to do some things to help massage that as best we can. But we also have situations where the Cubs may be renting an apartment for 6 months and may have somebody in it for only half of that time. They because the player movement is so heavy between the ball club here in Chicago and then actually the ball club in Knoxville. We go back and forth between the AA club a lot. And so most of the time the apartments that they rent are full in capacity, but sometimes when we have player movement, there may be in an apartment there may be one guy in it for a while, or there may not be anybody in it for 2 or 3 weeks. Reason it just depends on how the player movement moves.
And explain the relationship with the city of Des Moines, because they actually own the stadium and the parking lots, I believe.
Right. We rent the entire facility from them. We have full control of it. It's a partnership that I think is better than 99% of all the partnerships between ball clubs and municipalities throughout the game. The city is very proud of their ballpark, and we're very proud of the partnership we have with them. Everybody works hard to keep the ballpark up to speed and standard. I've used the phrase "safe, clean, and fun" as my business model from day one. I drill that into my staff every day, and the city certainly buys into that. And it's important for them to be a safe place and a clean place, and then they leave it to me to hopefully be a fun place. But they want it to be fun too. They want everything to work appropriately. But it's a great partnership. We've both spent a lot of money on the building since we knocked the old one down and built a new one in the winter '91, and it takes a lot. It's if you don't keep it up, you're going to find yourself in a situation where you're going to have to knock it down again and do it all over again. And the little bit of money you put into it, you're out is way better than the 120 million that it would take to build it in the same spot.
Yeah, and I tried to get into detail on a lot of those upgrades in the book, so people can track those in the book. Why has Des Moines, the smallest market in AAA baseball, been so successful in drawing more than 19 million fans since 1969?
Well, I think it's consistency, Steve, more than anything. I mean, I've been doing it. This is my 41st year. Prior to me making the decisions, it was Ken Granquist and Dick Easter and Don Silverman making the same decisions for about the 10 years prior to that through the Ray Johnston ownership, and then Ken owning the team. I mean, there hasn't been a lot of turnover, and the decisions have been made pretty consistent year in and year out. I'll use my phrase, safe, clean, and fun has been the motto here, and it has to be the safest place you can come to and the cleanest place you can come to, or you don't have, then if it isn't, then you don't have to worry about it being fun because they're not coming anyway. And I think we want to make it as easy and as simple as you can to understand and know what it is that we offer here, so that we don't want to make it hard for you. Um, and I'm a very for-profit operation. I don't apologize for that. We're here to make money, but we try to keep it as affordable as we can. And I think that consistency has probably served us well, and that ideology has served us well over the last 1969, frankly.
It's rather unusual to have, let's see, only 4 ownership groups in almost 60 years, isn't it, in minor league baseball?
Yeah, there's probably
You
a
don't see
few that
that.
are in that same category, but again, there isn't anybody
Mm.
that has been doing it in my position any longer than I have. A couple of colleagues that match me in the number of years, but most everybody else is well below our time of tenure in the game, and maybe that's not a good thing. I don't know. Okay, but it's one of those things where you um, I just think, again, making the similar decisions at all times when you know it works is a good thing.
How have the changes like the pitch clock, the 3-batter minimum relief pitcher rule, the automated balls and strikes, the challenge system, the bigger bases, how have those changed the game at the minor league level? And do you think they'll ever get to the major league level? Some have already, but
I think quite a few of them are already there, and I
yeah,
think it's helped a
yeah.
lot. I think you've seen game times come down as much as 30 to 45 minutes at all the levels. It's nice to be able to be a game time average of around 2 hours, 20 minutes, which is where the game should be. And
Mm.
we've made good decisions on all of that right now. I can't say that there's been anything that's come down the pike that I've disagreed with. Um, I'm not sure. I wasn't real sure about it as they came about, but now that we've had several years of a lot of that, all of them have been very, very good decisions relative to the speed of the game and the pace of the game. It's not, in some cases we may not have shaved time off of a game, but the pace is better, and I think that's important for the fans.
Even the automated balls and strikes, I know some people probably think, oh no, let's stick with the umpires, even though they may make bad calls now and then.
The thing about umpiring right now is that we've really put those guys in a bad position. I mean, you can't go to any ballpark in America that doesn't have at least 30 cameras in some capacity shining in every direction, that's evaluating every single thing that's done on the field, and that's including the umpires, and particularly at the major league level, as heavily scrutinized as the media gets with those guys. They're just back there doing the best they can, and when everybody else got slow motion replay and a box that shows whether the ball was a half inch out of the zone or not, we as an industry either need to take it away or implement it to the point where we have the technology to do it. Let's pull the Band-Aid off and do the automated balls and strikes, and have it be computer driven. We can. We've proven that we can, and the technology just gets better and better. I like the idea of the computer, as long as it can continue to improve and evolve in its speed and its accuracy. I also like the challenge system, where the umpire is calling the balls and strikes, and the player has an opportunity to challenge whether the pitcher, the catcher, and the hitter have an opportunity to challenge whether it was a ball or a strike. As long as we don't allow too much of that to go on, you can really slow the game down with a lot of challenges and
Yeah.
a lot of rhetoric as to whether the pitch was in the zone or whether it wasn't. And frankly, they don't miss too much, and so there's a happy medium in there, I think, somewhere. But we have the technology, particularly at the big league level. We need to be doing that soon.
Do you think we'll ever go without human umpires?
No, no. The thing is as I tell people that don't realize what's going on, if we'd have never said, we as an industry, baseball had never said that we were going to take this on and do this, you would never know as a fan that the computer was calling balls and strikes. I mean, that the umpire's behind the plate. He still has 50 other things to do for the game that's required of the home plate umpire. And so it'll always have the human element
Mm.
to it. But if we had not made any media announcement or any technology announcement about the way balls and strikes are going to be called from an automated system, you'd never known as a fan. we could have probably dodged all that.
What's the most unusual game you've ever seen or been a part of at Principal Park? I think I may know the answer, but I won't say what it is.
Well, maybe I better turn it back to you and say which one am I thinking? No, it's
okay.
There have been a lot. Certainly, the most fun game was the night we won the league, the only league championship we won in 1993, where Tuffy Rhodes hit a walk-off home run in the 11th to win the game. That's easily the most memorable one that comes to mind. I've had a lot of different goofy scenarios here at the ballpark. That's for sure.
What about that game that drew no fans? Some people may not be aware of that.
Yeah, so we was one of the 3 flood years we were dealing with, and we were starting to pile up double headers, and we were in a situation where we were canceling games, and it was perfectly nice out, and the weather was terrific, and so I checked with the city, and we did some talking to the emergency management people, and with some adjustment in our ability to help change things around in a hurry should something happen. We were able to play a game with only the 2 teams, and then there was 5 of us total in the stadium. We couldn't do any public address announcing. We couldn't run the scoreboard. We couldn't let anybody know we were doing it. But they allowed us to play the game so that we could avoid the continuance of piling up doubleheaders. And so it was a game with no attendance. It was an official game with no attendance. And a really unusual situation.
I think that was 2008. There was a lot of flooding in Iowa that year. Yeah.
They had closed off the parking lots because we're on the floodplain side of the levee, and designed to flood. And we're also the entrances into the parking lots are basically gates that at the time just were filled in with compacted clay as an levee, and so they were all set and ready to go and waiting for floodwaters, and they didn't come at the time, and we had some emergency people parked on the outside of the levee. We had buses sitting there waiting in case we needed to get players out of harm's way in a hurry. And that was all part of the deal we had to make. But it was an unusual day, no question about it.
Speaking of Principal Park, do you expect any changes, major changes to it in the next 5-10 years? I know a couple of years ago there was a big study done on what could be done in the future. Of course, none of that is cheap, so depends on where you get the money from. But do you foresee anything major in the next 5 or 10 years?
Well, the city took on a master plan for the stadium, soup to nuts. It was everything infrastructure. It was everything cosmetic. It was some redesign of the way foot traffic works around the ballpark. That was done 5-6 years ago, I guess, and it was about almost $70 million worth of master plan work that the city has. A big part of that was bringing the stadium up to speed per requirements of Major League Baseball, and we just finished all of that, which is not anything the fans will see, but it was about $11 million worth of work in the clubhouses, locker rooms, the training centers, and we'll finish all of that after this season is over. We're replacing the field. Last requirement of need is, and so just as soon as we're done, the last pitch of the season, everything will come up and we'll redo the entire field. But that was a big chunk of the beginning, and the city has also now looked at future phases. They've allocated some money for some infrastructure things. We're partnering with them and doing some things to help out as well. Again, the good partnership we have, we're all kind of working together to make that happen. So there will be things happen at the ballpark. The stadium may not have quite a different appearance for a few more years, but eventually it'll have a different makeup in some capacity, I would say, in the next 5 to 6 years.
I know one of the things is moving the dugout and moving the bullpens. I kind of like those where they are, like old Wrigley Field, where they used to be. Another thing was the big parking deck. I suppose in one of those lots, big parking deck. How realistic is that in the next 5 years?
Well, in talking about the bullpens, one of the safety requirements that Major League Baseball is asking us to do is move the bullpens off the field,
Oh.
and I don't really have a place to go. There's no room over the back wall. Being up against the rivers, there's just no place to go. So we're actually going to push them into the grandstand. We're going to take a couple of sections of box seats out on both sides of the field, and so they'll be visible and in the stadium, but they will be off the playing surface per se, and that'll be unique. There's not very many people that have seen that
Yeah.
situation lay it out that way pretty well. And then we'll create some, we'll call them bullpen suites, for lack of anything else, and not indoors. They're tables of four over the top of each of the bullpens, and you'll be able to sit there and enjoy the game and look down in the bullpen while the guys are warming up. And it actually will be real interactive with the fans in the ballpark. So that's in the works for after the 25 season.
Oh.
Uh, and then as far as anything out to the campus and whatnot, there aren't any plans yet. But the way development is going right now, particularly around the stadium, I suspect there probably will be somebody come along and want to do something in the lots across the street, and then the warehouse district that's still to the west of us now probably is misplaced as far as functionality goes, and somebody will come along and probably change all that around before too long, I would guess.
How many seats are you gonna lose when you change the bullpens in, or do you know yet?
Yeah, I think we'll lose around 1,000 seats. It'll be about 500 to 600,
Ooh.
depends on how many sections we need out of it. We're at 11.
Hmm.
That's okay. We can maneuver and manage around that number. The more important part of it is getting the bullpens off the field from a safety standpoint for the players.
Yeah, originally I thought the design I saw had him out beyond center field, but I didn't think there was really any room out beyond center field where you could put two bullpens.
No, there just isn't. We have all of our activity out there, and now the area beyond the center field wall is all secure parking, which is required. Secure parking for the players, which is part of a requirement of Major League Baseball now as well. So I've got all that blocked in for secure parking.
What do you think your biggest accomplishment is as president and general manager of the Iowa Cubs? What are you most proud of?
Well, I'm proud of being here for 41 years. I guess they've thought enough of me to keep me around that long. But like I said earlier, I don't have very many colleagues that are in the same category as the length of time with the club. But it's been very gratifying, to enjoy the success of the team. I have a great staff. I feel like we've built a great staff over the years. A lot of people have gone, but it still maintains itself pretty well. I've enjoyed a lot of activity within baseball. I sat on the rules committee for Major League Baseball for 16 years. I was the chairman of the board of trustees for minor league baseball for 9, and I sat on the board for 25 years. The league had me as an executive council member as the internet or the Pacific Coast League for since 1998, I think is when we joined the league. So I'm proud of the accomplishments I've been able to be a part of. Sadly, I think a lot of it is just related to longevity. You hang around long enough, people think you know what you're doing. So I get put on things and do things that just do my priority, I suppose. But to be honest with you, Steve, there's nothing more gratifying, and it happens every Friday night for me, is standing out on that field when we're shooting fireworks and we've won a game in the last at bat. A walk-off win, and I shoot fireworks. I got 6, 7, 8,000 people in the ballpark, and I get to listen to that roar after the fireworks are over. And I think that's probably my most gratifying piece of my career and my job, is listening to that roar.
The next question is kind of similar. What makes working for the Iowa Cubs so special?
Well, I said earlier that it's the entertainment business, but I'll answer this question with really one word: baseball. I get to drive down the freeway every day, coming to work, knowing that my office is at the ballpark. I know I'm the envy of a lot of people because they tell me they wish they had that. So I think at times my staff, I'm always reminding them about how this stadium affects people, and that field affects people, and the game affects people, and we don't ever want to take any of that for granted. And so it's important, to appreciate all that and to understand the importance of what you do and how you do it to make people happy and create memories for them. And that's the business we're in, is creating memories.
If you hadn't pursued a career in professional baseball, what else would you be doing now? Or do you ever think about that? What if?
Yeah, I think at one point in my life, I had an interest in the PGA, maybe getting into the professional golf administration side of things. I enjoy the game. I hack it around with the best of them.
What's your handicap?
I'm toting right now, so it's anymore at my age and my abilities. I just hope to put two shots together. Steve, is all goal each time I play is put two shots together on any given hole. But that, I think I would have had an interest in working for the PGA and running.
What's your advice for someone who wants to get into the front office of a professional baseball team?
There's a couple of things. First of all, if you have the time and the financial wherewithal, stay in school as long as you can. Get as much experience tied to your sport, your industry, the things you want to do, but stay in school while you're doing that as long as you can. It's a proven fact that people that have more letters behind their name have more zeros in their paycheck eventually. Get as much education as you can. And secondly, and probably more importantly to any industry, is learn a second language. I just think it's so important to know, to be as versatile as you can, to have and be polished at a second language. And then lastly, going back to the experience part of things, just get in and get going. Do whatever it takes to be use your flexibility of being able to move, being able to work for less money. Internships, apprenticeships are always great ways to get started in any business. But do whatever you can to get your foot in the door. And then once you get in, it's really, you got to ask to get out. It's a great fraternity of business people, and everybody watches out over everybody else. But you got to really battle to get in it, and stay with it. Don't get discouraged. Things will happen.
It's pretty competitive, isn't it? Because there's not that many jobs really,
and there's always a lot of people looking, and there's a lot of people that aren't qualified looking. But there are qualified, and so when I'm looking to fill a slot, it makes it easy.
What would you like your legacy to be with the Iowa Cubs, or do you ever think about that?
I think it goes back to that simple little business model that phrase that I use: safe, clean, and fun. I hope the ball club has projected that while I've been here. I want it to be a really fun place to come to, but it needs to be safe and clean, and those are priorities. And then the fun takes care of it. I guess I want everybody to be able to say, I want somebody to be able to say, yeah, that's the way he left it. It was a fun place to be.
Very good. Well, that's why you're Mr. Baseball in Des Moines and elsewhere.
Well, again, longevity.
Well, thanks, Sam, for spending part of your day with us. I know it's very busy because the Iowa Cubs host the Indianapolis Indians tonight at Principal Park, starting at 6:38, I believe.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay, right. Okay, right. And speaking of baseball games, I'll have an author event and book signing with Root Beer Floats in Tandem Arts and Authors Gallery and Bookstore in the Plaza at 3rd and Walnut in Des Moines from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. Thursday, August 29th. Maybe somehow we can hook up a twofer with the Iowa Cubs that night. The Iowa Cubs will play the Memphis Redbirds that night starting at 6:38. I have another book signing scheduled from 1 to 4 p.m. Saturday, August 3rd at Barnes & Noble at 4550 University Avenue in West Des Moines. And in addition to today's podcast with Mr. Baseball Sam Bernabe, future episodes of Pug Fireball and Company will feature my brother Jeff Dunn. Actually, I've had that already. It hadn't been posted yet. And John Leop, a noted Iowa baseball expert. Good day, everyone. Thanks for listening.